What's good, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Take Time Out with Tre Mosley. I am your host, the fidgeter, Tre Mosley, and today we're taking a little trip. We're going north, way north, Canada north. I've never been, and I hear good things about it. And one day, in my sojourn, I shall take that trip. But until now, I have cool friends that live there that I lived through them. And one of these cool friends has graciously said, "Sure, I'll be on your little podcast thingamadoo." Turnabout's fair play because I was on hers. It's on Clubhouse. You should go listen to it. It was fun. And before we begin, though, let me introduce her to you like this.
With Ecobee smart thermostats and smart sensors, comfort in the rooms that matter most is just the beginning.
Tuesdays, America's favorite family has one mission in life: to bring a ray of sunshine to an otherwise dreary world.
Get right with your maker, folks. It's clearly the end of days.
The Connors, Tuesdays on ABC.
At Star One Credit Union, our savings account earns a high rate of 2.75% APY, way higher than the market average. Plus, when you qualify, we'll even pay the same great rate on our rewards checking account. Become a member at starone.org. Star One Credit Union, in your best interest.
Dreams are the bridge from the last thing you think about at night to the first thing when you wake up. The obsession is what drives you every second in between. This is your starting line, where the will to begin is all you need. And resilience means more than results. You can go it alone, or you can share it. You can give it everything you have, or just the time you can spare. News lives in the now. It's coming at us every second, from all over the world. News is more now than ever. Now is raw. Now is real. Now is constant.
Congratulations! You've officially been crowned the town's crazy plant lady. And look, the coffee mug to prove it. But you earned it because you grow, girl, with Miracle Grow.
Now, I am not sure if she's the cat lady, but we'll get into that as well. Emma O'Neill joins us today. How are you?
Hello, I am well, thank you. How are you?
Well, I am the cat man, but I locked him out of this session because he's been quite rambunctious today. Shenanigans abound. Yes. He there's this disorder, I forget what it's called, but he loves to chew on tape.
Oh no.
And it's a thing. First I just thought maybe he's just loony. But I looked it up, but certain cats love the taste of Scotch tape. And anytime a package comes in, all of a sudden it's like I hear, I'm like, he's gotten to the tape. And so guilty, the tape is like hanging off. He's like, rare? Like, what tape? Yeah, you busted.
What?
So but I don't know. Yeah, so that's how that goes. But anywho, back to you. Thank you once again for joining us.
A pleasure.
And like I said, I did your podcast, and shout out to Mr. Tobin. Hi,
Yes.
Mike. And we had some good fun. And I'm like, I wonder if she say yes to my podcast. He's like, of course. I'm like, ha, yay, and you're here. I like to start, if you will. We've heard and seen from the video, the right now, the after, as I like to call it. But here on this here podcast, we like to talk about the before.
Ooh, the before time.
Yeah, before voiceover. Who was Emma then? I know one part of you, and based on a Facebook post, you used to work in hotels.
I did.
Well, and we'll get to that because that was just creepy. The stuff I was like, ew.
Yeah.
But um, so you are a native of the Great White North?
I am not.
Oh, whoa!
No.
Breaking news. Give us the skinny mini.
I am an immigrant child from Ireland. So I was born and raised in Dublin, Ireland, and we immigrated here when the Celtic tiger died. Uh,
Google it, children. Just Google it.
yes.
Oh wow, I
Yep.
had no idea. So you are truly um an Irish lass, as they
I
say.
am. I am. The color of the hair comes. I come by it naturally. So
That is so cool.
yep.
I remember being in the airport.
Hmm.
I was flying from New York back when I was living in Florida, and this is we're gonna go all over the place today, y'all. So just I know I'm going around the corner to get across the street, but bear with me.
We're good.
Uh, Me and redheads have a strange affinity. In of all the accents in the UK, the Irish accent, especially when a woman speaks it and her dialect is very heavy. I don't know. I think growing up as a kid, I watched a lot of PBS
Okay.
and a lot of public broadcast educational stuff, and a lot of the shows that used to come um, on PBS dealt with sitcoms in the UK, and there was this one particular young lady, and her Irish, and I had never heard an Irish accent. I had
Mhm.
watched Benny Hill and other British comedies, and then when she spoke, and I was like, well, that's new. Like, what is that? And I was just like a little well, I was a little kid just sitting there like, "Say more, please. Say more." And then she had red hair. I had never seen a redhead. And then you ever see something once and then, like, everywhere you look, you see that thing?
Mhm.
That's what started to happen, and I'm like, "What is it with the red?" Even my wife is like, "What is it with you and redheads?" I'm like, "I don't know." But you combine those 2 things, but she was in the airport and we were on the same flight. Our flight got delayed. We actually saw the plane land, and I was like, "Yeah, all right, your plane's here, let's board." Yay. 45 minutes later, "Hey, so there's a part missing. May not wanna fly, so everybody off the plane."
Dear.
Right. And she was, like, very upset, and she's like, "I have to go to the," and as soon as I heard her, I'm like, "Where is she?" I was like, "Ma'am, where are you from?" She's like, "Well, I live in Jacksonville, but I'm Irish." I'm like, "Yes, you are." And, and it was a thing. Moving on. So you leave, Dublin, you move to Canada.
Mhm.
Um, Now you're not accented. Did you lose it or you never had it?
I made a choice to lose it very, very quickly. Kids are mean, right? So it's like they make fun of
Oh.
you. So I chose to lose my accent really quickly. And being Irish, you use different words for different things. So instead of garbage, you said bin. Instead of cookie, you said biscuit. Instead of sweater, you said jumper. So kids would always be at you about something. And so I hung out with my cousin Dennis, who was much older than me and spoke very, very Canadian. And, um, I lost my Irish accent quite quickly, but my mother wouldn't allow us to speak Canadian.
Oh,
So there was
wow.
no A's, there was no a boots. If we said A, she responded with the alphabet, drove us all mental.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
if you said a boot, she was like, "Where's the shoe?" She's like, so at the time, it was really annoying. Now, thank you, mom. And then I studied linguistics later, so I kinda leveled it out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now see, this is why we have this show.
Mhm.
Lost her accent and somehow started studying linguistics. Like, it all came back anyway.
As you do, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had roles that has called f like, I know you say you've gotten rid of it. Can you every now and then, like, channel it? Is it
Oh, yeah.
innate that you
Yeah.
can bring it out?
Yeah, absolutely, but within the North American market, a Dublin accent isn't Irish enough
Wow.
because a Dublin accent is quite subtle.
Huh.
It's I mean, sure, Chase, it's like if we just continue to talk about things right now, you wouldn't necessarily say that I have an accent. So it's a little it's not as intense as like the south of Ireland, which is Cork, which is really, really sing-songy. It's up and down
Yes.
and up and down and up and down and up and you can't understand a word. If you're not Irish, generally you wouldn't understand a person from Cork. You'd be like, "Are they speaking English?"
Like, what are you saying?
We're like, "Yes, yes, they are." It's just very fast,
Wow.
very quick. So I have been cast for Irish roles, and it hasn't gone very well. So unless I sound like a Lucky Charm, which I'm not
Oh, that
willing to
sucks.
do.
They basically want a caricature.
Yeah,
Oh, well. Boo.
yeah,
Shame on you,
yeah,
CDs.
yeah.
Like, really. I can relate, when they ask for something more urban or
Ugh.
they want some swag or really? Like, but this neither here nor there. So, how does one, I can't imagine how did the 2 cultures different? How old were you when you left?
Oh, I was 8.
Oh, so you were
Yeah,
literally a wee lass when you left.
yeah.
So, you leave one country,
Mhm.
which is not exactly the biggest in the world,
No,
and now you come to Canada,
which is the biggest
and some of the
state.
provinces there are bigger than some of the states here.
Yeah,
Um,
Canada's massive.
yeah, how did you navigate that as a young child?
I mean, it was there were many different challenges emigrating. It's, missing your family and friends, especially we were really close with our grandparents, and then not having access to them was challenging, and they weren't able to come over. There just wasn't the finance for us to go back and forth often.
Yeah,
So, I think the we moved over when I was 8, and then I think the first time I saw my grandparents after we moved, I was 12,
wow.
and then 16, and then so it was kind of every 4 years there was we were able to see them.
Mhm.
So there was the challenge of that and making new friends. As a kid, it's a little bit easier to make friends. Um, but we went to an Irish Catholic school, so it was kind of like, "Okay, well, you're Irish Catholic, so we're gonna put you in an Irish Catholic school in Toronto and see if that helps."
Right.
And ironically, one of my teachers, Mr. Curry, had gone to university with my father in Dublin.
W
It was so random.
wow.
It was so, so completely random. So there was that connection that my parents were like, you will associate with Mr. Curry's children because your father and he went to school together, and so you are going to be friends." I
Talk
think
about an indoctrination, like,
right?
yeah, there's your tribe. You want a tribe? There's your tribe right there. Um, being that voiceover is an art.
Mhm.
Were you as a child into the arts at all?
I was born on the stage. Yeah, my mother was a dance teacher, and
Huh.
she put all of us into theater, and I was the one that took to it like a fish to water. The other 2 were like, "Meh, it's fun, but whatever. Let's go outside and play with dirt," as kids do, whereas I was like, "I wanna be on the stage. I wanna play. This is really, really fun. I love to play dress up, and I love to," I loved every facet of it. I loved the
Yeah.
the imagination, and I had a wicked imagination, still do, constantly in my head making things up. But as a child, it was the place that I felt the most at ease, definitely. So,
That
moving to Canada, I continued in the arts and was always in plays and went into theater school and
What's the theater scene like there? I know here, in the States, you have kids who are literally out of the womb on the stage, and they're going to acting classes, and then
Mhm.
there's Broadway plays, off-Broadway plays, street plays, like, what's the scene like there in Toronto?
Toronto is a great theater, culture. We've got some amazing theaters. There's a guy named Ed Mirvish. I don't even know if he's still alive, but Ed Mirvish owns basically half of Toronto, and he owns the
Oh, wow.
entire what's called the entertainment district. So all of the main theaters are Mirvish theaters. Um, so
we have all the big shows come in. So we have Hamilton, we have Crazy for You. We have all of the shows that go through Broadway. We have the touring companies from Broadway, or we have Toronto-based companies that are performing. And theater culture is huge. We have a subscription to Mirvish, so we go to all of the big shows every year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, love it. Super
Oh,
fun.
that's pretty
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
Have you since it's a like you said, Toronto's really big in the arts.
Mhm.
In your like grade school through high school years, did you do a lot of performances?
Yeah, I did. Um, when I was in our first school, so the Irish Catholic school, and then I was thrown into an Irish Catholic all girls high school for a couple of years before I was like, okay, enough. We're like, let's stop with this ridiculousness. Like, I'm leaving now. Um, and I
I
ended up
get it.
going
I'm Irish. I get it. Yes, but there's more.
exactly.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got you.
And then I ended up going to an arts high school for the rest of high school. But I was in plays throughout. My mother continued to teach dance and teach theater. So I was always kind of the example child of, "This is how
Mm.
you do this thing. Emma, let me borrow your body."
Go, child, go, dance, dance. I see.
Exactly. And so I was always in shows with that. And then I had agents as a kid. Didn't do a ton of film work, but still, I mean, there is a massive, massive film industry in Toronto. It's called Hollywood North here,
Yes,
right?
true.
So much is filmed here because it's more affordable. Um, but I stuck mainly with theater for most of my teens and 20s
Hmm.
until I left the acting world completely. But
Were there any memorable roles that you enjoyed playing?
Rizzo, Rizzo in
Really,
Grease.
in
Oh
Greece?
yeah. Oh yeah. She was
Ah,
so much fun. Um, Magenta in Rocky Horror,
wow.
super fun.
You did. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember the first time we saw the Rocky Horror, it was the first time we were back in Ireland, so I was 12, and we went to my mother's friend's place, and they're much more liberal than my grandparents were, and we came marching back into my grandparents' house singing, "I'm just a sweet transvestite," and my grandmother, like, she sent us to church. She was
Oh,
not happy about my mother's killing herself laughing, thought it was the best thing ever. Like,
like what are you teaching these children?
and then I ended up in the show. So it was good.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
I mean, you can't get any better than two iconic um you know plays or shows than Grease and Rocky Horror. I
Yep.
mean, that thing is what, 50 something years old, and Halloween comes around and everybody
Yeah,
you know goes crazy for it. That is,
yep.
see, we're learning today, people. I had no idea. you know she's a theater baby.
I was a theater baby, yeah.
That is
Yeah.
dope. So you mentioned that when you got into your 20s, you looked at the arts and said, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Why'd you leave? You were having so much fun.
I was, and then I went to theater school, and it wasn't fun anymore.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't fun anymore. I was in an academy program, and it didn't matter what I did, I couldn't do anything right, as
Oh,
far as they were concerned. They were constantly telling me I was disappointed. I was very disappointed. And, so I finally was like, "You know what? I'm leaving. I'm not doing this anymore." To their surprise, they were completely shocked. They're like, "What do you mean you're leaving? We've cast you in all of the leads for your 4th year." I was like, "How? Why? For the last 3 years, I've been a constant disappointment, and now I've been cast as the leads. You guys need to change your tack. Like, maybe every once in a while, let somebody know that they're not crap." So I left and I went into biology because, that makes sense. Um,
yeah. Well,
yeah, I went into
kind of.
kinesiology. I was in a liberal arts university, so it was an academy program for theater, but you had to take science as to be at the
Oh, okay.
university. So I had taken biology in my first couple of years and really enjoyed biology. I was like, I wasn't into, physics or chemistry or any of that other stuff, but biology made sense to me. So I was like, why don't I continue just finishing the credit requirement for the degree by taking kinesiology courses? And I did, and I ended up becoming a yoga teacher. So it kind of made sense, and that I needed to know what, how the body moved and all of
I
the
was
muscles,
about
and I
to
needed
say
to be able
the
to be in
dots
front of a
kinda
crowd.
connected
Yeah.
because, biology is the study of the body.
Yep.
Kinesiology, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the study of energy or how
It's
energy
the study of
moves?
movement.
Movement. So, and then you go into it all makes sense.
Yeah.
So the groundwork has been laid.
Yeah.
Um, you're a very interesting person, Emma. I just wanna say, you go from, stage and screen to, patu, who needs that? Let me go study some science and learn how the body moves and why it moves, and once you learn that, now that I know how to do it, let me go stretch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Th
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm telling you folks, we are going to learn today. You think that people just wake up one day and say, "Hey, I'm a voice actor, hear me roar." No. We are onions, and we all have
Yes.
different layers that you have to peel.
Yes.
And right now, we got a doozy. We got a blooming onion, literally right now. So let's regroup. So we go from, hey, I'm little Emma, and my mom is a dancer, and out of the kids, I'm the one who took to it. Yay. All right. Well, then I shall put all my effort into you, dear Emma, and you show the world what you're made of. And then you're like, all right, cool. And you're having fun.
Mhm.
And then some mean, vile people come and make it not fun anymore. And you
Yeah.
say, screw it. I'm going to go do something else. And you learn the sciences, which is interesting because, in show business, they have awards that are the arts and sciences.
Mhm.
Your sciences are a little different, but it kind of made sense because being someone that's on the stage, knowing where your marker is, uh, in both plays that you were in, you had to dance a little bit.
Yeah.
So I see the correlation. So now that you are uh, out of university and you've studied the sciences, and you're doing yoga. So is this like your profession now? Are you just an instructor, or
Yeah.
is this something? Okay, so you're doing yoga.
Yeah.
When did, or maybe not when, but had you ever felt like, you're out and about, you're having a coffee, and you look over and the arts are sitting there just waving, and you like, don't look at him, don't look. And then you turn away, and now you're at Tim Hortons, and you look over, and Arts is sitting
Tim
in the seat,
Hortons.
and he's waving, and you're like, "Why does he keep So what I'm saying to her kids is, did you miss it?
I did. Yeah. Absolutely. There was always part of me that felt that there was something missing, that I was supposed to be doing something else. And I came to life when I was in front of a class. So I'm an introvert. I'm naturally shy. But if you put me on a stage, then, not now, if you put me on a stage, I lit up because there
Hmm,
was the protection of it was the same as when I was a bartender. I called it the protection of the 2.5 foot of wood. Like the bar protected you from the crowd,
yeah,
and it was the same with the wood of the stage. The wood of the stage and the lights protected you from kind of the energy that you didn't necessarily want, but you still got to perform and interact and give energy. And
yes.
so I came to life in that. So it was the same when I was teaching yoga, that when I was standing in the front of a room giving the gift of yoga to people, I came to life.
Wow. Now, you slipped in, real quickly, bartender.
Oh God, I've been everything. You know, I've been everything. I was a body piercer for years. I traveled the world piercing bodies. I've been a bartender, I've been a barista, I've been a hotel worker. I worked in an office for 2 weeks, and I swore I would never ever do that again. I have the utmost respect for folks who work in anything resembling an office environment. That it's just
Yeah,
wow. You that just I was not capable, not capable. So people who work in that type of environment, especially people who thrive in that type of environment, you're
Yeah.
amazing. Like, hats off to you.
But I noticed in all of the jobs that you mentioned, um, from the bartender, barista, yoga instructor, even working in the hotel.
Mhm.
And I noticed this about you now. You are a big proponent of movement, moving your body.
Yeah.
Talk to us about how important that is to you and being active because you are always on the go pretty much. Um,
And now you know 'cause we're connected on Apple Watch, so you can see
that
what
is
I'm doing.
correct. I see when you're moving and grooving.
It's like breathing for me. It is a requirement. I must move. It keeps me almost sane. I wouldn't say sane, that would be a blatant lie. But it keeps me as sane as possible. It keeps me grounded. I need to feel and be in my body and feel the connection to my body and feel the connection to the earth because I can get really heady and go off into the clouds. So I need to do physical work
Yeah,
to stay present in what it is that I'm doing. So I move around a lot. So I lift weights, I walk, I do yoga, I do all sorts of things in my physical work. I can't just sit.
yeah.
It's
Do you find that well, before I ask this question, I wanna go back to one more thing. So, in the midst of your, many different hats you were wearing, uh, in the many phases of Emma,
Mhm.
other than the arts, was there one particular job, and even prior to voiceover, that you found was satisfying? Like, this ain't bad.
Teaching yoga.
Hmm,
It's the only thing that I've stuck with for as long as acting, even with the 10-year break with acting.
yeah,
Um, Everything else I would get really good at. I would get to the top of my field in it, and then I'd be like, "Okay, cool. Check. Next.
on
Now
to the
what?"
next challenge.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope.
So, whereas
Um,
yoga was just always like it's like you said, it's an onion. Like, life is an onion, but I always describe yoga as an onion, the practice of yoga that you're executing a posture, you're learning the posture, and then you get, quote, unquote, "the posture," and that's what my job as a teacher then is like, "Ha, now I get to pick it apart and add more to it." Like, now, cool, okay, you grabbed your toe, great. Now we're going to break down what your foot is actually doing in this posture and why you're grabbing your toe. Okay, now cool.
mm,
Now you've understood that. Now what's happening with your scapula? What's happening with this? So there's never an end. It's always a journey. There's never a destination. It's always a journey.
gonna have my wife talk to you. She had started her yoga journey years and years ago, and then life happens,
Yeah.
and but as of late, she's been uh, slowly getting back into it. I can do a few positions, and I'm like, okay, now I'm here and I'm stuck. Help,
Help me.
please. I don't want to be in warrior pose all day, and my Ashtanga is starting to hurt. So,
Ooh, he knows Ashtanga. That is the lineage that I teach.
really, I
Oh,
know some stuff. I be knowing. I know some
I love
things.
it.
See,
Mhm.
told you you're gonna learn today, y'all. We're
I
gonna
like it.
learn.
I like it.
So, but no, yeah, she was doing it way before I was, and I um try to get into it, but you're talking to a guy with two bad rotator cuffs, so and which is why I want to try to maintain as much flexibility as I can
Yep.
because I lift a lot of heavy weight,
Mhm.
and you can't lift if you got no resistance, and you're trying to push pull.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? These are the two levers that are going to help you push pull, and if you don't have any strength in them or flexibility in them, then you kind of can't do that.
Yep.
So you expect a call from us about that.
Okay.
All right. So now then, how does one who has worn so many hats, um, how do we find the lovely world of voiceover?
I fell into it. Had I came back to Canada, so I had been gone for about 10 years, living in India and Southeast Asia and Australia and all over the place. Um, and I came back to Canada, and a friend of mine was in the film industry,
Mhm.
and she did everything. She was doing stunts, she was doing extra work, she was every once in a while she was on screen, she was doing casting. She was kind of like anywhere that she could work because she just wanted to be in the industry and loved the industry. And at one
Yeah.
point I was like, "Well, maybe I should get back into it."
I was about to ask, like, what did you do any stunts?
No, not stunts. No, no, no. Stunties are nuts. They are crazy humans. Um, but I was like, "Well, maybe I should get back into it," and I did a couple of background jobs and, like, kinda stepped back into it, but film was never my thing. Like, it was just film is if you've never been on a film set, it's like watching paint dry. It's really, really slow. If you are not in the action, it's
Yeah.
just really long days, and I just don't have that's not the way my brain works. Like you said, I need to move. So it's like being on a film set for 12 hours, sitting reading a book was no, thank you. And she suggested voiceover. She's like, "You've got a great voice, you should do voiceover." The typical way that people start, "You have a great
Yeah.
voice, you should do this." And I was like, "What's voiceover?" Like, I had studied theater, I had studied film, I had studied voice, but voice specifically for theater, like how to project your voice and how to enunciate things,
Yeah.
linguistics and all that sort of stuff, and dialects and accents. But I didn't ever equate I didn't think voiceover was a thing. That was like most people who get into voiceover don't know that voiceover is a thing when they first discover
Yeah.
it. And for my birthday or Christmas, one of those, birthday or Christmas, I was gifted a microphone, which I still have, it's right there. I was gifted a headset, and classes with a
Oh.
voiceover coach in Toronto. And I went into this class and recorded for an hour with this guy and walked out, like, kind of floated out of the studio, like, "What was that? That was so much fun. Let's go back and do it again." And then I started doing workshops, and I discovered Ellie Ray, and she became one of my first
Oh,
coaches,
Ellie
and I just
Ray.
that woman. And I mean, Ellie, like, she just
Her
lights a spark
energy.
in you. She sees the light in people, and she
Yeah.
just makes it so much brighter just by being herself and being with you being in her presence, you feel so much more alive and yourself, and you're
Yeah.
able to do things, and she gives you permission to just play,
Yeah.
and as adults, we stop playing, and she's like, "Why? Stop it. Play. Fart, make noises, be silly. Come on, let's go." And I just, I coached with her for a while and discovered this magical world of voiceover where I didn't have to be a particular thing. I didn't have to look away. I didn't have to be a particular height or ha like, have straight hair or any of the things that I didn't
Yeah.
have when it came to film and theater. I just needed my ability to tell a story and connect with the story. Oh,
Why do you think that is when we get a certain age? Well, not even a certain age. Once we become adults, that we tend to lose the innocence to play. When you're a kid, and kids really sometimes have no conscience.
yeah.
They will run out there and just be silly. I remember my mom taught for 40 plus years,
Yeah.
and going into her classroom or on the way to the classroom, here come a pack of kids just running down the hallway screaming.
Mhm.
And I'm like, is something wrong? Is it a fire drill? No, they were just being kids.
Yep.
Just, hey, like, what is wrong? Like, shut up. Like, what's wrong with y'all? But then I think about it. I wish there were days where I could just wake up and run down the street
Mhm.
in Vegas and scream. I would probably be committed and
You would be
arrested.
arrested, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, in this business, it does give us license
Yeah.
to create and to just become, and in some cases to just be.
Yep.
I think we as adults we tend to lose that because we have the pressures of getting the bills paid, finding work, uh, and once you find work, keeping work.
Mhm.
Relationships. Let's say we had a good week, and then on Sunday you're fussing and fighting, and now it's like a couple of days of silence in the house, and you're stressed out. Like we got so much stuff going on as adults. I
Mhm.
remember seeing a shirt, and it had adulting, and it was a 1-star rating, and said would not approve. And I
Exactly.
so I
Would
so
not
agree
recommend.
with that. Yeah, would not recommend.
Not
I'm like,
recommend.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So you shifting gears. So now you're under the tutelage of the great Ellie Ray, and your eyes are opened. You have discovered this beautiful, wonderful craft that we all know and love. From that point, when did you say to yourself, "Okay, this is cool. I'm loving it. I'm liking it. I think I want to take the plunge." Like, take us back to those first early years of voiceover, and how did you make the decision that okay, this is going to be the next endeavor, and the next hat I'm going to wear, so to speak.
I think I had the right encouragement. I think that having Ellie as one of my very first coaches was an unbelievable gift
Mhm.
to have stepped in front of the right person at the right time instead of having to find my way by working with other people. So I think that that was a huge part of it. And because I worked with Ellie, she referred me then to Tracy Hoyt, who is a fantastic commercial and animation coach here in Toronto. And I worked with her on my first demo. And she was really supportive and helped, like, she was what like, a demo producer in the sense, I mean, she produced the demo, but it also was very, helpful with recommending me to agencies
Uh-huh.
and allowing me to use her name, or sometimes she would reach out to the agent herself, or she would say, "Just, tell them that I recommended you. You can CC me on the email," all that sort of stuff. So it was very, very helpful, at a time when it wasn't done a lot.
Yeah.
So I just feel like I was in the right place at the right time, and I've told this story before that I submitted to a bunch of agencies, and I think it took about 2 years, and I got an email saying, "You've made the shortlist, please, um, send back this information,"
Mhm.
and I didn't answer it because I thought it was spam because it was 2 years later.
Oh, wow.
But about a few weeks later, they sent another email saying, "Did you just checking in, can
Like,
you"
"Hey,
I was like, "Oh, dear."
we
So
sent you something.
yeah. Yeah,
Like a
might wanna
response."
respond. So
Yeah.
I ended up responding, and I ended up getting onto that roster, and I'm still on that roster today. And took it was a very quick the moment the paper was signed, I think the next day I booked my first job.
Wow.
And I hadn't a clue what I was doing. Like, I had a $150 USB mic. I was recording in my bathroom underneath a towel. Like, I was convinced because I was right at the edge of home studio and going into studio.
Yeah.
It was just when home studio was really becoming a necessity in 2011, 2012, and but I was like, "No, no, I'll go into studio and record." And that's no, I mean, that happened, but you still had to do all of the legwork at home.
Yeah.
So I learned really quickly. I was lucky that I knew a sound engineer, he was a yoga student of mine. So he helped me learn how to use Audacity and
Oh,
how
okay.
to, build a storage box filled with mattress foam to make sure that things sounded half decent, and I learned as I went. And it took a couple of years, but I think I went full time in 2014, 2015, 2014.
Sweet. It's all about building blocks, folks.
Yeah.
You know, I get so many people who reach out to me, and they think being in voiceover is like microwave popcorn. Like, it's just gonna, you know, for a couple of seconds, pop, 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 and now you can go. It doesn't happen that way. You have to have folks that um want to be dedicated. And one thing I always say as well, it's good to have people who actually support the endeavor,
Yeah.
because there'll be days where you'll sit there and think, okay, I haven't booked anything, or there are no auditions, or I haven't grabbed fill in the blank top notch agent, or even an agent at all.
Mhm.
And you're just standing in this VO desert, like, what am I doing here? Looking for that mirage that'll, once you get there, all the treasures and will be yours. Sometimes that's a long walk in the desert, y'all.
Yeah.
And you have to say to yourself, how much further am I willing to go? It could be one more step to take, or it could be 10 more steps to take to that oasis. But are you willing to put in the work?
Yep.
Um, so yeah, it's very telling when I see folks who they'll send me an email or they'll send me a DM. Hey, I want to do what you do. Okay, short story. Here's what I did to get where I am. And then once I break that down, like, where'd you go? Why'd you disappear? I
Yeah.
thought you wanted to be a voice actor and do all this here cool stuff. Well, before you do that cool stuff, you're gonna take stuff to the pawn shop. Your car's gonna get repoed, me. You're gonna
It's
have
true.
lights turn off,
Yeah.
me. You're gonna go through some things. What
Yes.
if if you have a little bit of stick to itiveness, you can come out on the other side.
Hmm.
But I don't and I wish them well, but I wish more people would talk about the and I don't want to say the dark side of VO because then that just makes it seem like, yeah, I was snorting coke before I got into VO. No, it's not that dark, people, but there are instances where folks have invested a lot of time and money into this, and then because they're not at the height of success, what they deem or define success is for themselves, they get discouraged and then they
Yeah.
disappear. And I'm like, but man, he was really good or she was really great.
Yeah.
What happened? And have you ever had uh, in your career days where, you may have had a couple of months where things were just humming? You was like, yeah, I got this, I'm booking, and the bookings are coming. And
Hmm.
then they didn't.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's my accountability group. I think I spent the first 3 months of 2021 or 2022 crying every time we had a meeting. Like
Oh,
there was nothing coming in the door. Like I couldn't book to save my life. I had gone from an incredible year. I was blessed, like most of us were during the pandemic, that if we had a home studio prior to the pandemic taking
yes.
hold, we were already established. People knew that we had home studios. People knew that we had broadcast quality sound and that we were available with all of the bells and whistles.
Yep.
So, I did, there was not even a blip. It was just a rise in my career at that point. But yeah, I think it was 2021 or 2022 was one of the worst Q1s of my career, like across the board.
Mm.
And I as I always joke and say I couldn't get arrested. Like it didn't matter what I did.
I
I
know what
could
you
not
did, they
get
was not
arrested.
checking for you.
Could not get a job. And if I did get a job, it was this, it was like a IVR. It was nothing that was actually going to make a dent in the income drop
Yeah.
that I was experiencing. Um, and ironically, I called Ellie Ray.
Huh.
I called Ellie and I was like, "If this isn't about coaching, it's more about mindset. I need to flip where my head is. Like I'm just not seeing the world from the right place." And I sat with her on Zoom for about 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. And things changed for the better.
Shout out to Ellie Ray. Just,
Mhm.
you know, sometimes it's almost like uh being a battery and you just
Mhm.
start to feel low and you get low and then you have that, at least for us on a human level, you get that something or someone that just gives you that jolt
Yep.
and you're like, all right, let's shake this off. Yeah, we had a bad couple of months, but we got to get back in the game.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes the positivity can attract or beget
Yeah.
things to happen for you. I'm a true believer in that, work begets work, but also
Mhm.
positivity uh, begets energy. And then that energy goes out there and finds, like, hey, you know what? It's your turn. Come on, let me sprinkle a little bit of that on you and get you back in the game.
Yep.
And we need that sometimes because for 60%, 70%, for some people, 80, 90% of our day, we're in this encased prison, if you will. But this is our livelihood. This is where our income. This is how we maintain and run our households. But we're also alone.
Mhm.
There is no interaction.
Yep.
Even if we're talking to the engineer on the other end, if we're not in actual studio, we don't see them unless it's like a Zoom session or something like that. We're just, hey, how's it going, Rick? Hey, Trey, you good? Yeah. So this is we got 2 15s and a 30, and we're rolling whenever you are. And then you do the session. It's like, all right, man, good stuff as usual. And then they're gone, and you're like, okay, bye.
Bye.
Hey,
Bye.
what are you guys doing over there in New York?
Bye, friend.
We're about to go grab some pizza. What are you gonna do? I'm gonna
Uh,
sit here and drink some bottled water or
Do
something.
some invoicing.
Right. Like, oh, exciting times. And over here in the States right now, we're all scrambling to file taxes to
Yes, just finished mine. Just
oh,
finished mine.
we're not even gonna discuss that.
I know.
My wife is currently handling that. That's what she's going to school for. And she maintains she's the CFO of the house.
Yes.
And she was like, so yeah, doing the taxes and well, good news is you made significantly more than the year before. I'm like, yeah. However, that also means you're gonna owe significantly more than
Or
the year before. I'm like,
yeah.
I guess tequilas are on deck this weekend because I have not seen the numbers, but just the way she's talking to
Yeah.
me, it's like that doctor that always just goes, mm-hmm.
Like, oh.
Mhm, and you're like, "Just tell me already." So, yeah, it's one of those things. Um, what is it like to number 1, to be a voice actor in, because I'm thinking, are you my first international guest?
Ooh.
You very well may be. Talk about the differences and this is something I always want to touch on because I have representation in Canada.
Mhm.
Shout out to Tanya Buchanan. And
Oh, yeah.
I also have representation in the UK as well. Do you find that the practices are different? Um, for example, here in the States, it's hey, get an audition for you. Okay, great. And then you do it, you may or may not hear anything. Um, but in the UK, it's like, "Hey, client wants to book you." "Alright, cool, send the audition." Like,
There's no audition, yeah.
maybe you didn't hear what I said. And that took me a great while to get used to, like, so they just want me? Yeah.
Mhm.
Why do you think that doesn't happen over here?
I don't know. I find it interesting, but like Europe in general with booking, it's they book off demo. They base their booking off the sound of your voice and the range of your demo. So if they hear you doing different things and we want to book Trey based on spot 3 on his commercial demo. And whereas in Canada, it's the same as the States. You get the audition from your agent, you record, you send it back. The vast majority of time, you don't get anything resembling feedback unless you get a client likes you, but you didn't pronounce the company name correctly,
Yeah.
or you've been shortlisted. They've changed the script. Can you record the new version of the script for the callback? But outside of that, there's very little communication when it comes to the process. It's very, very similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was hoping like maybe they'll provide more insight, but it's pretty much the same there. Because
Yeah.
I have a an ongoing client in Ontario,
That's
and
where I am.
that's where you are right now.
Province of Ontario.
Well, look at that.
Yes.
See, it all just comes together, people. This is the magic of the show.
Yes.
I had no idea.
Yeah, Toronto is in Ontario.
And see, I get confused because here we have a city, we have a state. but Canada is a whole country, and then it's like, yeah, I'm in Ontario.
Is the province,
It's
and
the
Toronto is the
province.
city. Yeah.
See, it reminds me of being in history class, and they had the city states, and I'm like, so is Toronto? So is it kind of like a city state
Yeah,
kind of
Toronto is
thing?
just a very, very large city. Just a very large city with
It's
a
the biggest
lot
one, right? I
in
believe.
in Canada, yeah.
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 So one day I'm coming because my friends, um, there's a festival called Caravana that happens.
Whole city shuts down, the
Oh, I
island, it's
hear.
amazing, it's insanity, it's so much fun, and the fact that we have an island in Toronto, so we've got a ferry that goes back and forth to Toronto Island, and Caribana usually has a party on the beaches of Toronto Island during the
Ah,
festival, so it's like there's the parade and there's also all of the crazy insanity and the
oh,
wonderfulness and
come
all that, but then
on.
everyone gets on the ferries and just vacates and goes across to the island, and there's massive beach parties on the island. It's a really good time, you really, really should come. Toronto has one of the best carabanas, hands down. It's really, really cool.
All right. Well, I cannot
Yeah.
not come now. I mean,
Yeah.
with such a
So good.
ringing endorsement.
It's so good.
Um, yeah, I've known about it for 20 plus years. I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm coming to Toronto.
Yeah.
I'm coming to, and I've so now, I'll be 50 this year, and I'm like,
Me
I gotta.
too.
Hi. Well, look, you know, we're just gonna leave here just knowing so much about each other. Like, well, look at that. So yes, we will be. When is your birthday?
August 15th.
Same as my best friend Chuck. My
Oh,
birthday is October the 22nd. So
so you're younger.
I'm just saying.
Fine.
I'll send you something. I know I said Tim Hortons 'cause that's the only Canadian reference other than CFL because I used to watch uh the um the Rough Riders
Yeah.
and the
Hamilton Rough Riders.
Argos
The Argos, yeah, Toronto Argos.
and because one of my favorite football players, he couldn't get a job in the States and he went to Toronto. I'm like, Ricky Williams is playing in Toronto. Okay. But then the flip side of that, one of the greatest football players of all time won 5 Grey Cups in Canada and then came to the States when the
Mhm.
NFL finally said, "Hey, I guess we can have a black quarterback, Warren Moon." And the guy was a champion here as well. So it's crazy.
Yep.
But yes, Toronto is definitely my mom's been and I haven't. So that, you know, she
Well,
has she has it up on me.
you just have to come.
I'm coming
Yep.
because I also hear you guys have some of the best food.
We have Toronto is fantastic. It's a multicultural city, right? So
Yeah,
it's like we've got Little India and we've got Little Italy and Chinatown and like every culture known to man is represented, and every culture known to man also has a festival. So especially the second it gets warm in Toronto, it is food festivals nonstop. So you want Greek food, you're going to come to the Greek parties. You're gonna like it doesn't matter. There's always something. There's always a section of town that is celebrating their culture, so then food obviously is a huge part of celebrations,
sure.
so it's you could just eat your way through the city. You're just like, "Ooh, what festival is this weekend? I'll go to that." Yes.
Ah, man. So what you're saying is make sure I get a good workout before flying up there because
And elastic pants.
I'm gonna gain it all back. All right, noted. I
Yeah,
it is noted.
yeah.
Um, what would you say to a young lady who is watching this and perhaps she's not getting the opportunities that she feels that she should have? Um, from your years in voiceover back, you know, a decade or so ago till now, um, have you seen strides in the industry that are, um, let me word this correctly. Do you feel that women in voiceover now have more opportunity not only to get work, but to be authentic in the work that they get.
Yes, definitely. Um, when I started back when I was young, when I started in this, women had very specific genres that we were able to find work within, and I I know myself, I started breaking into genres that were very dominated by male voices because I have a deep voice. So I was told that men will listen to me or women will listen to me, men are not intimidated by me.
Mm,
So
wow.
so I had the voice that was able to cross over into genre that was typically male, and a lot of that was finance, a lot of that was corporate banking, a lot of that was, like, farming industry, that sort of thing, so it's like I became the voice of a bunch of farming companies, like,
Wow.
didn't quite get John Deere, but in the
Ah,
same realm of
yeah.
that, and now, like, flash forward to now, there's so many more opportunities for women, especially in sports promo.
You should know because you have a pretty dope one that's running around here in these
I
parts.
do.
And I remember when you were well, matter of fact, you were interviewing me and you were like, yeah, I wish we had more opportunity for women to do promo. And then all of a sudden you're like, I got a pro for sports pro. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
So that was cool to see that uh manifest itself. That was really dope.
thank
So
you.
giving you your flowers on that, ma'am.
Thank you.
Um, but yeah, what would you say to the young ladies who are watching this, who, the I hate to use the word up and comers, but to those who are just starting on their VO journey, to those young ladies who are watching you like, okay, well, she's done a lot of things and was still able to get to where she is.
Mhm.
Like, what's your message or advice to them?
So many. One of the main things would be don't quit your day job, and that's not to be derogatory. That means that I did not stop teaching full-time yoga until I knew I could carry myself financially within voiceover. So I was working full-time in yoga. That's what I did, and it was only when I couldn't hold the workload of doing as much voiceover as I was doing and maintaining an insane yoga schedule, teaching schedule. So make sure that you can never predict your income as an entrepreneur, but you can have an idea. You can
Yeah,
see patterns. So make sure that you're not leaping too soon. One, make sure you feel secure. Or if you do leap, make sure that you have a financial cushion, that you've put enough money away that you can survive. You can continue to, live in your home and all of the things and feed yourself. Um, 2, and I think this is one of the more important things with coaching, surround yourself with people who believe in you and want to lift you up. They're not bringing you down. They're not trying to tell you to get a quote unquote real
real
job, any
job.
of those
Oh
stop
boy.
it with the real job. Surround yourself with people who believe that you can do this because there are going to be moments that you don't believe that you can do this. And they're going to be at the beginning, they're a lot more than they are later on. Later on, you still have them, but they're kinda, fewer and far between. At the beginning, they can dominate your thoughts, and if you don't have people that are surrounding you saying, "You got this, you can do this," it's harder. So make sure you have a really solid cheerleading squad that believes in you. It's not about blowing hot air at you. It's about really genuinely believing you you and having and coaching, understanding that coaching is a part of this business that does not go away. We all continue to coach. Um, the trends in this business change so quickly and so dramatically that
Mhm.
coaches, especially if you're coaching with casting directors or other voice talent who are working in the genres that you want to work in, they're the people with their finger on the pulse, and they understand what's happening right now, and so they're gonna help you get to where you wanna go.
Absolutely. And speaking of support, you know, I feel that when you have a not only friends and family, but when you have a partner
Oh,
that is
yes.
supportive, and you
So
two kids are so cute. Um, So I ask all of my married friends on the show,
Mhm.
or at least I try to if I have time. So I'm gonna ask you now. How did you meet?
At a bar.
Were you were not tending bar, were you?
I was not.
Okay.
I was gone to meet a friend who was having girl trouble,
Hmm.
and Alana was at the bar. I knew who Alana was, she knew who I was because she's a musician, and I had seen her perform before, so it was like I knew her face.
Yeah.
But I'd never actually met her, and Kelly, the woman that I had gone to meet that afternoon, was friends with Alana, so she introduced the 2 of us, and
Oh.
we became friends, and it just kind of did this from there. But she is the most supportive human being in the world. Like, she gets it. She's an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, she's driven, she is a tech head, she's a musician, so she's an audiophile. I've learned
Of
so
course.
much from her as because it's like, my $150 USB mic, she was like, "How? What? I don't understand. W
Like we got to get you something better.
what is this thing?" Um, but having a partner who supports what you're doing and doesn't, you can't do that, or, "No, that's silly," or it's just, "Yep, cool, okay, yeah, definitely. We'll make it work. We'll figure it out."
Nice.
Yeah.
Hi, Alana, by the way. Hi. All right. So as we wrap up, the most important part of this segment is the final part because it's where I
Oh,
ask my guests. As you know, the name of the podcast is called "Take Time Out"
yeah.
with Tre Mosley. That would be me. So I ask you, Emma O'Neill of Dublin, Ireland, now of
Mhm.
Toronto, Ontario. How do you take time out for yourself? Oh,
I'm a bit of a workaholic. I'm living on the East Coast. My hours are crazy because I have West Coast representation as well and European representation, so days can be crazy. I take time out by doing yoga, I meditate, and I used to be a massive traveler before the pandemic, and I'm slowly, slowly starting to do that. I'm actually going to Spain for 2 weeks in May. Like,
nice.
haven't done that for a really long time, so and spending time with Alana because we don't see each other as much as,
Yeah.
we would like just because we're both crazy people when it comes to work, so we have a designated date night that we're like, "Hi, who are you?
We
Tell
do
me
that
about
too.
yourself. You look
Yeah, we
familiar."
weren't you that girl who was I know you, right? Like,
I feel like I know you. So, yeah, we've designated date night, and that's a night that it's the phones go off, they get put away, and we sit and actually have conversation and connect and
that's cool. That's
cooking.
really cool. We have to be Thursday.
Oh, I like that.
And we will try to find the weirdest movies and just watch it. And sometimes the lighting in the movie is horrible. The acting is like this. How could you? Oh no.
Oh, dear.
But that's part of the allure of having that night because I mean to be honest, it's not really about the movie.
No.
It's she and I, she when she's not in school, when I'm not in here, um, we'll make dinner or order out and it's just our time to be us.
Yeah.
So we have To Be Thursday, and then we have Panera Friday. Panera, if you want to be a sponsor, I'm just saying. So every Friday we have uh, breakfast from Panera. It started back during the pandemic, and when we were living in Florida.
Yeah.
One day I was like, I'm hungry and I want something to eat. And the world wasn't quite open, but some of the restaurants had started to open back up, and Panera was one of them.
Mhm.
And I used to always love their breakfast. I'm like, she's like, I never had Panera for breakfast. Oh, aren't you in for a treat? And since then, every Friday's been Panera Friday.
Oh, I love
So
that.
yeah, she's all right to me. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So, how can the fine folks out there find you on the socials to keep up with all things Emma O'Neill?
You can find me on the Instagram at Emma O'Neill, spelled like the surf company. The proper way, I like
Oh,
to say.
uh-oh, here we
Oh,
go.
apostrophe NEI, 2 L's. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on. I'm not playing on TikTok right now because I feel like it's going away. So I'm like, I'm not really investing in it because I don't know. So yeah, Instagram and LinkedIn. Emma O'Neill is
Good
how
to
you
go.
find me. Yeah, and on my website, Emma O'Neill VO for voiceover.com.
Yeah, you got to plug that. I mean, you never know who could
Mm.
be watching, and things happen. More promos on the way. I'm
Yes,
put,
please.
I'm putting it
Yes,
out there.
please.
Yes, please.
Yes,
And
please.
I will say this. I have. Oh no, we cannot forget.
Ooh.
I almost forgot. You got to tell me a dirty hotel story.
Oh God. Ah, I will start this with a request to all people listening who stay in hotels, which is probably all people listening. Please, when you are leaving your hotel, if you wouldn't mind putting your dirty towels in the bathtub and stripping down the bed, that would be amazing. And if you can't do that, can you please just leave a cash tip and try not to leave things that are rotting in places? That would be super great. Um, yeah. And if
Right.
oh, I have cleaned hotel rooms where there have been items that should not have been outside of a bathroom, on beds, on floors, it's people do some interesting things in hotel rooms. It's an interesting kind of study of human behavior.
Oof, had to clean my palate on that one.
Yeah, it's really strange. It's when people step outside of their own homes, it's like no holds barred. I don't
Or
understand.
it could be indicative of what their home life really is.
Maybe. It's an interesting study, but there were times where wearing many masks on my face was not enough, and many pairs of gloves was not enough to deal with what
Yo.
I was cleaning up. But and then you walk into the next room and someone who has, obviously worked in hotels or knows someone who's worked in hotels, and you walk in and the bed's been stripped, all the dirty linen and the towels are in the bathtub, and there's a cash tip, and you're like, "Thank you. You are the best person in the world. Thank you." So those people are the ones that hotel staff bless on a regular basis. So,
All right.
yeah.
Make sure you pack a black light as well, people, because
Yeah. You can always ask for when you arrive at a hotel, one of the best or the smartest things to do when you arrive in your hotel is call down and ask for room service to change your sheets when you arrive,
huh,
because then you know that you're getting fresh sheets because you're witnessing fresh sheets being put onto your bed.
how about that? Told you was gonna learn today. You thought it was
Uh,
just gonna be voiceover, huh? Nope, not at all. So now we can officially end the show. Thank you all for watching. I am Tre Mosley. This has been the very wearer of many hats, Miss Emma O'Neill. And we will catch you all next time. So go take some time out for yourself. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Take Time Out with Tre Mosley podcast, part of the Titan Media Network. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, or wherever you get your podcasts. To see the video version of this, you can find us on YouTube on the Take Time Out with Tre Mosley YouTube page. Thanks for listening, or thanks for watching. Either way, we'll see you next time.